games of football in my life yesterday,
Did you go,
mate.
Did you go?
No, it was my dad's birthday, so I didn't go because, I know what an absolute sitter I missed there. But my mate's cousin, he went instead, and I gave him the tickets, and he went for his son, and they absolutely loved it. So I'm delighted that I can actually give it to someone that I know. And a lot of people who went seem to have had one of the best days of their lives, and obviously I missed out, but my dad just didn't want to go, didn't want to risk ruining his birthday by seeing us lose to Liverpool.
That would have made it his best birthday. Mate, I've seen things online of people comparing it to the night in Paris where Rashford bagged the pen at the end. Comparatively, what are you saying? Do you reckon that's up there?
Well,
emotionally,
we absolutely. If you remember that game, people were like, to find the Solskjaer sort of reign and everything. If you remember, we actually fell off drastically after that game, so I hope that doesn't happen again. I think the difference in terms of I study history. I'm obsessed by the historiographical sort of significance of events,
right, okay.
And obviously Solskjaer got given the job after the Paris one, but for me this could be Mark Robbins for Sir Alex Ferguson in the FA Cup and against Forest. This could be an event that saves Erik Ten Hag's job. I remember saying to my dad when I was watching the game, I said to him, look, I think Ten Hag is probably going to go, but if he wins this game against Liverpool here now, he might just save his job. And I don't think it's a case of, being sacked or not. I don't think it's like a binary option like that. I think it's more, if United can somehow beat Liverpool and go on and win the FA Cup, Ten Hag might get to keep his job with Ineos.
Let's start there then. You said it's not binary. Yeah. It's more a case of the way I see it is trajectory. And if we do your history academic head on, the trajectory of Ollie when he got appointed after that match, everything was on the up, and I guess he set expectations that he was never gonna live up to. And then Ten Hag, I don't know, how would you analyse the trajectory of Ten Hag and this point in history and how it could change things moving forward?
Well, you look at it, there was significant tactical flaws. Right? We all know that there were massive issues. There was one point where people were saying that we were an Arctic Monkeys formation 505. So, I don't think it's finally Manchester United have come together. And
no, it's nothing like that.
It's nothing like that. But the mental side of things, it's okay, we've beaten Liverpool in the FA Cup. Liverpool, one of the best teams in the world at the moment. We've got to say it. Obviously there's the added significance of it being Manchester United against Liverpool. Obviously there's the added significance of it being Jurgen Klopp's last season. There's a lot to it. It was a game of significant value. I think one of the things that it does show is that these players, this dressing room, they're absolutely behind Ten Hag. They're not giving up on the manager yet. They're not down tools. He's not lost the dressing room. That's absolutely not true. And I've still got major tactical questions, and I still think there's major things to work on tactically and technically in terms of the players we have in our squad. But yeah, I think this could be the start of something. I think this could be a turning point in the confidence.
In terms of so United have always had the capacity for a result like this, no matter what point in history, whether you look at us in the 70s, 80s, 90s, all the way through, we've got the capacity to cause an upset at the highest level at any match, at any point in history. But how much of it do you think yesterday was a Man United characteristic, or how much of it was more the players that we've got playing for Ten Hag and the players themselves? How much of it was them carrying this sort of desire throughout the whole 120 minutes?
Well, you've got to you've got to take your hat off to Bruno, Diogo Dalot, Garnacho, Rashford, and who was the other player played the 90? Someone else played the 90 as well.
Yeah.
McTominay. You've got to say fair enough to the guys. They've done an absolute shift there, and everyone who came on obviously played especially well. Maguire was brilliant. Ahmad was brilliant. I thought Eriksen was really, really calm and composed. Mainoo started the game fantastically. Yes, the players were brilliant, but yeah, look, I think there's a United idea of never giving up, and that's something certainly that a lot of the players in this squad seem to believe in. And I think Dalot, I could speak all day about Diogo Dalot. You know how much I love him, but I think he's a perfect example of that. He doesn't give up at all. He would die for the shirt. And I think the same applies to Alejandro Garnacho too. And Scott McTominay. And Bruno playing centre-back, and the resilience that Marcus Rashford showed after missing that chance in the last kick of normal time. You've got to give credit to these guys. I think that part of the United DNA is never giving up, and it's irrespective of who you are as a player, irrespective of who the manager is. So, yeah, plenty of credit goes to all of those guys for doing what they did, and I think that is something that's United. It's part of them.
It's really... Well, the players you mentioned there, in terms of positions, they're the positions you sort of say are the spine of any football team. You say Dalot, Bruno, Garnacho, Mainoo, maybe less so McTominay in this example, but he was a big part of what we did yesterday. The keeper as well, he was outstanding yesterday.
Brilliant.
That shows, the spine of what we've got going. It's not really a match to dissect tactically, how everything went down, because by the end of it, like you said, the formation was all over the show. But, you had Bruno and Dalot in the back four pretty much in the final minutes, and they still looked some sort of tangible shape, like in the sense that they were holding down what we were trying to push for. And I just think that's when that's the spine of a team. That's like the leaders. That's when you see the leaders rise to the top. And I think that's some promising signs. Hopefully, if you can take anything out of this game moving forward, that is the one thing I'd take. That Dalot, Bruno, Mainoo, Garnacho. These are people that are here and can form a spine in the team.
Oh, absolutely agreed. I was say, you're looking exceptionally sharp, mate. Is this social media detox you've been on it? Yeah, you're looking sharp, mate. I'm liking it. I'm liking
Bro, it's just the lighting. It's Ramadan. I've managed to get a full meal in literally an hour before we started recording. So if that's doing good for my skin, and then mix it in with a bit of decent lighting, I'll take it, bro. I'll take the compliments.
No, it's right. What would you have for your meal?
Bro,
mate, you got that post-United glow.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've not really addressed the start of the podcast. We've done the very stereotypical thing and just sort of started a conversation and saw where it went. We are filming after the United Liverpool match yesterday, and we don't really have a plan for the pod. We've just sort of gone into it and started dissecting what we saw yesterday. But I don't know what we're trying to achieve with this pod, Isaac.
No, neither do I. But one of the things I want to talk about is just how the off the ball dynamics were still appalling, right? I mentioned the 505. We spoke about all this sort of chaotic defensive work, and there was one point where Ten Hag actually pulled Dalot over almost with the suggestion that he should go inside and stop the press. And I think there were significant issues with that. But in possession, I think with that team that he put out, we looked pretty good. There were some really good moments where Dalot and Mainoo sort of doubling up in the pivot evaded pressure. Wan-Bissaka at left back wasn't a disaster in possession. He evaded pressure really, really well and managed to get some decent passes off, as well as his good work on Mo Salah. Generally, I think there was quite a lot to be impressed with. Yes, we've got the same long-term issues out of possession, but I was quite impressed. I don't know what you think of it, but I was quite impressed with the work in possession.
Again, people are going to sort of laugh at us for trying to dissect tactically the sort of match that we saw over the 120 minutes. But a part of the match that you can dissect tactically was the first half, because, there's very much a case of a plan versus a plan, between Ten Hag and Klopp. And the thing I was most impressed about, and it's probably the first time I've seen this without Lisandro Martinez in the team, is the midfield triggers happening at the right time. And what I mean by that is, once the ball progressed into the first line of midfield, you'd see Dalot sort of join the midfield at the correct time, and that would trigger McTominay to sort of advance into a pocket further up the pitch at the correct time. And I think we've done this, we've tried to do this throughout the season, but is the main thing that you see City and Liverpool do it, and they always do it at the correct times, and it's like clockwork. True. And I thought in the first 45 minutes, it felt, the timing was on, the triggers were there. McTominay was going into the pockets further up at the right time when the ball sort of got fizzed into Mainoo, and Mainoo had a pass on. And it was all like, I don't want to say clockwork because that's getting too carried away, but the timing is something that surprised me. And I thought a lot of that was because of the balance that Wan-Bissaka provided on the left-hand side as well. So that's something tactically that I wanted to mention.
No, I think you're right. We moved the ball much more quickly, and we like talking tactically. You are tactic talk, of course, but I still don't feel like I can tell Erik Ten Hag what to do. I'm qualified enough to tell him what to do. But I think if you want to play the way that he wants to play, the most important thing is to move the ball more quickly, and the most easiest way to move the ball more quickly is to shorten the spaces, right? And it felt like the spaces between our players were much shorter, so you could fizz it around, knock it around, 1-2 touch for McTominay, Mainoo, even Wan-Bissaka getting involved on the left, Dalot on the right, using his weak foot all the time to switch the play. Like I think there is something there where you can see, right, if United wants to do in possession what the Ten Hag wants to achieve, you're going to have to move it quickly, and it's pass and move. What's the Spanish word? Toco y voy or something like that. You touch and I go.
Right. Wow. Right. Okay. He's whipping out Spanish.
We're getting into the real tactical part of the podcast now. We're 10 minutes in or something. But no, I think that if we want to be successful on the highest level, it's up to those guys to move the ball quickly. And I really liked a lot of what I saw from Mainoo and Wan-Bissaka moving it fast down the left. Yeah, it was really good combinations.
In terms of successful at the highest level, we're probably not there yet, and we won't be there for the remainder of the season. But one thing, aside from the Liverpool and United match, that we should look at with some optimism for the rest of the season, that we can hopefully capitalise on, is the fact that Spurs lost 3-0 to Fulham, and Villa only managed to get a draw against West Ham. And, I'm sure, Isaac, you can sort of put up the league table in this graphic. It's still a long stretch, going for top 4. But obviously with the UEFA coefficient, meaning that top 5, it's not fully confirmed, but top 5 could mean Champions League football, Champions League qualification. If, trajectory from this Liverpool match is something to go off, maybe that's something we can optimistically aim for now.
Oh, 100%. And I think if Manchester United have their best team, we're better than both Spurs and Villa. Obviously, that's a big if, and we've missed players all through the year. Now, I compare sort of the form that Spurs are in and Villa are in to us. It's all very up and down. It's a bit of a, who's going to blink first. It feels like quite a lot of the top 4 races in the recent years of the Premier League, where it's waiting for someone to lose rather than anyone going on a significant run. But if anyone out of those teams is going to go on a run, I think it's us. I think we've got the most favourable fixtures as well. Again, I could probably pull up some sort of graphic about the fixtures coming up. But everyone's got to play Liverpool, I think, and I think everyone's got to play Arsenal. Spurs have got to play City. I think
just on Spurs specifically, Isaac, just before you move on, Newcastle away, City at home, Arsenal at home, Liverpool away. There's some
difficult games.
There's some difficult games there, mate.
Yeah, I don't think Tottenham are all that. I think they've suffered from injury in the same way that we have, not to the same extent, but it's hit them harder on the premise that they've got a smaller squad. And Villa have obviously got the European factor, and I don't think Unai Emery is somebody who's going to treat that especially lightly. So, there is a significant opportunity for United. With the FA Cup now, we've obviously got Coventry. That's not a game that's going to be especially difficult, but we'll go into that later if you like. We haven't got too much to do other than the Premier League, so let's see what we can do. I would be very surprised if we didn't put up a significant fight, and I think we will probably sneak into the top 5 at either of their expense, if not both. Maybe it's a bold thing to say, but I think we've got more in our arsenal. If we can keep our squad moderately fit and they continue to everyone's getting injuries at the same sort of rate, and they've got their games coming at the same sort of rate, and the results stay as we'd expect them to stay. Nothing significant happens anywhere. Then I think United will do it. But I reckon we'll have an upturn in form. I think, you're right. This game is a significant building block.
I mean, I'm seeing the points, but then again, at the same time, like you said, there's a lot of moving parts to it. Right now, we might look, a bit optimistic, saying that we're going to trump both of them, potentially get fourth spot. But like you said, loads of moving parts. The European factor with Villa, Spurs fixtures, there's a lot of moving parts here, and I don't see why it isn't possible, even though maybe slightly optimistic as well. We've sort of done a bit of a scattergun approach, started talking about the players from the match, then gone to like our prospects for the season. I want to bring it back to the players from the match, because there's two players, both of which are right wingers, that we should probably talk on specifically. The first one, I don't know. Take your pick, mate. Who are we talking about first, Anthony or Ahmad? Which direction do you want to go?
Let's go on the sort of more two-way. I don't know how good his right foot is, but I think it's probably better than Anthony's, despite that goal. Let's go for Ahmad first.
Right. Okay.
I think Amad Diallo is someone who absolutely deserved that. It's been that weird thing about him deleting his social media, and he's saying it's because of Ramadan, which can be a very good idea. Deleting your social media in Ramadan, it seems to be it seems to be some sort of nice detox to do. But there's obviously a bit more to play here with Amad Diallo. The lack of selection, but I think he needed that. He deserved it, and I'm so happy for him.
Do you think, in terms of Ten Hag's thinking, he's a very hard man to read, but surely that means Ahmad has gone up the pecking order? Surely, right?
Oh, surely. Yeah, I mean, the only shame is that he can't play the next game now. He's got that stupid red card. But what a red card to get. What a red card to get. Honestly, I think you can't tell a better story. Scores a winner against Liverpool, goes down the tunnel after taking his shirt off and having been sent off for a second yellow card.
Just on that
gives his shirt to a fan.
An iconic performance against Liverpool that hopefully United fans talk about through the ages. I'm just seeing like Diego Forlan, the exact same sort of situation, and his name is Diego. We sing Diego in the chat, so Diallo just fits right in. I just want a song, and I know you've got the platform to hopefully get some followers to make some chants, and I don't know if there's a chant that sort of fits in with Diallo making the Scousers cry. I beg, someone think of one and someone shout it in the Stretford. Whoa.
Whoa.
But
Diallo.
That's one to think about for sure.
Manchester United spent 37 million quid, if you include the bonuses, on Amad Diallo, and obviously it hasn't quite worked out, but I think it's always worth it now. It's a cult hero. It's cult status confirmed.
Cult status
for the rest of his life.
Well, moving on to the next right winger, Anthony. It's not quite cult status confirmed, but it was a massive goal. The equaliser to push us into extra time. From the most unlikely source, people would say. When I feel like there's a groan around Old Trafford when he comes on. We obviously support Anthony, but there's sort of a pessimism around him that he can't shake because of what we've seen so far. But he got his goal, and I'm really happy for him. Izaak, what were your thoughts on Anthony coming on and the job that he did?
He scored some big goals for United off the bench. He scored some big goals for United. In general, he hasn't scored many, but obviously I think the Barcelona goal as well. With his right foot, I don't think anyone would have anticipated that. I don't know what the odds were if you bet on Anthony equalising with his right foot, but obviously he's someone who's really exactly. I think he's really struggled for form. Of course he has, and I have a lot of sympathy for Ten Hag in not selecting him. I think he's been absolutely justified in leaving Anthony out despite spending so much money on him. But he needed him, and he came on and he did a job. I think he was pretty good throughout the game despite the goal. I think he looked bright. He looked like he was there to prove a point. I think a lot of our players, they were there to prove a point in this game. And it was a really well taken goal. You got to give credit to it. It was a really well taken goal, and I was shocked he got that much power on it, and it was rifled in almost. It was a brilliant finish.
Shades again. I don't know if you remember the goal, but remember Jesse Lingard against Chelsea on the swivel?
Oh,
I think was it at Stamford Bridge as well?
Yeah. It was like a half volley on
Stamford Bridge. I got shades of that, and I was just like, fair play. It's a really good finish. But again, brilliant throughout finish. The rest of the time that he played on the pitch, sort of moved out into left back in the second half of extra time as well. I just thought a lot of what he was doing was positive, putting Liverpool on the back foot, which I feel like is his biggest criticism. Moving forward, I think my biggest criticism of Antony is he's a winger that plays on the back foot and he sort of waits for the defender to do something before he makes a decision. And I wonder how much of that is confidence, and if he gets his confidence back, can he force the defender to be on the back foot when he gets the ball? That's my question for the rest of the season.
No, I think it's a very fair question. And you look at the work of Alejandro Garnacho down the right-hand side. That guy is just industrious. He played 120 minutes against Liverpool and just kept on going. And as a genuine two-way threat, so no Antony scoring with his right foot. But, we know Garnacho is much more two-footed than Antony. He can go both ways and is that much more direct. It makes him such a more attractive option on the right-hand side. I think when you talk about right wing of Manchester United, you have to talk about Garnacho, because Garnacho's ceiling is ridiculously high, and he is certainly the first choice right wing option now, come what may, for the rest of the season. And the fact he started 26 games in a row is incredible, and the performance levels throughout those games have been great. I just hope we can keep hold of him for as long as we can. It seems like Madrid will come knocking at some point.
Well, you say that, but if they're getting Mbappe and they already have Vinicius Jr., that's two world-class... And Rodrigo, yeah, on the right-hand side. But that's three world-class forwards with Bellingham in behind, Does Garnacho start in that at any point in his career? Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. No one predicted Alejandro Garnacho to become Manchester United's first choice right winger and be such a two-way threat this season.
That's true.
He has, so.
I think, Isaac, we've sort of gone scattergun approach with the United-Liverpool match, and we've done a fairly good job at sort of summarising things. But I think a strong way to end quite a reactive short pod and an interesting sort of gimmick would be a one-word review. Obviously, you're a man of many, many words, but a one-word review of each player that played in the match. Do you back yourself to do that?
Let's do it. Let's go.
Start with the keeper, Onana.
Gigantic.
Dalot.
Oh, where do I start? Industrious, non-stop, monstrous. I don't know where to start.
Well, he's always going to whip out more than one word for Dalot, but we'll move on before it gets a bit too poetic from Isaac. So we've got Varane.
He was omnipresent.
Lindelof.
Surprisingly very good.
Wan-Bissaka.
Pragmatically outstanding. Is it two words? Not one.
He's taking two words. He's putting a hyphen in between. We'll get further up the pitch. Put Isaac out of his misery. We got McTominay next.
Relentless.
Mainoo.
Outstanding.
Bruno.
Everywhere.
Garnacho.
Non-stop.
Rashford.
Oh, surprisingly excellent.
Højlund.
Welcome return.
And then we got two more. Ahmad.
Sensational.
And Antony. I should have flipped that, really. I should have gone Antony first and then finish on Ahmad. Antony.
Antony was like shockingly brilliant. I don't really know what there is a word that you can use for that, and I don't know what it is, and I'm fishing for it. But I was shocked at how good he was. I thought he was really, really good.
We'll take that. I guess that was a very good emotional review
Yeah,
of the Liverpool United. I enjoyed that, mate.
I enjoyed it. It was a nice little chat. Hopefully some people listened to it and enjoyed it. I think we were just basically just being quite realistic, weren't we, really? We were just giving it from the heart.
Yeah, I'll take that. Authentic.